The ship is still quite a mess. The power lines are leaking, the navigation is intermittent, and the hyperdrive is only operating at 67.3% efficiency.
That sounds like our podcast.
Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
All right, and welcome to Hyperspace Heroes. This is Brown Leader signing in. All wings report in.
Brown 2 signing in.
Brown 4 signing in.
All right, guys, this is episode 75.
Or
100 on the Spotchka timeline, if you're counting
Yes.
that way. So if you know, you know, those that have been following us all along. So both of those in a way. And so for today's episode, we have a special guest with us, somebody that actually was on my bucket list that I would love to get a chance to talk to at some point. And he is going to join us today, and that is actor Chris Bartlett, who is in, well, if you've watched any live action Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars projects, you've seen him in those shows. So let's you know what, without any further ado, let's just go ahead and bring him in and welcome Chris. So we got a few little technical difficulties going on right there, but we'll bring him on back on real quick in just a second. So, but yeah, Chris has been in a ton of stuff, including he plays the ferryman in Mando episode 1. He plays he's been various protocol droids in different Disney shows, or the different Star Wars live streams. He was the protocol droid for Grief Karga in Mando. He RA7 on Moff Gideon's ship. He's been all sorts of different droids. He was also the Kazgadag, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Book of Boba Fett, where's the one scene where you see Mando walk into the elevator, out, get his bounty, back into the elevator, all on the, was it the Glavis ring? And so he been in a ton of stuff. You've seen him, and we are really excited to have him on tonight. And it looks like he's just working on a couple technical difficulties right now. And in the meantime, while we're waiting, let's go ahead and jump into the chat. And we've got Brown 5 Spotchka has joined us in the chat. Welcome.
Hey, Spotchka.
And so we are welcome Glavis ring. You are right about that, Spotchka, for sure. And yeah, we're gonna have him on in just a second. And but guys, how exciting is this?
epically exciting.
I'm at a loss for words. I'm going through his PR stuff right now, and it's like, if they made an action figure for everything he did, man, I could fill a shelf. This is pretty cool.
Right. All right, so I think he is ready. So we're going to bring him.
So
Yeah, so we're going to bring him on now, and welcome, Chris.
Hey, guys.
There he is.
Hey.
Hi,
How you
Chris.
doing?
Welcome to
Good
the
to see
show.
you guys.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Mr. Chris Bartlett, actor in Star Wars. We were kind of going through the rundown of all the different things, and the one thing we didn't mention, he has been C-3PO as in live action events, and I think that's kind of how he got his start and in his career, and we'll go into a little bit of that. But welcome aboard, Chris. And the first thing we wanted to ask you is, what does Star Wars mean to you?
Oh boy. Well, I was 7 years old when I first saw Star Wars in the theater in 1977, and what it means to me is my imagination just exploded. I mean, like, I feel like we're all in the same kind of age bracket, and it just, I felt like it just inspired my whole life with like gosh, stormtroopers and droids and land speeders and aliens and cantinas. It just, for me, it just was the perfect time for the wonder of storytelling. That just really, for me, you hear, this is the George Lucas has said that the Star Wars is kind of a morality tale for the rising generation, right? And that's what myths are. They're stories that that teach certain things, or show certain archetypes that will help you understand, difference between good and evil, or those gray areas, and but besides that, it was just such a cool environment. Is it the future? Is it the past? I know it's a long time ago, but I just, so much of Star Wars for me enlightened my imagination, that led to so much creativity in my life, and that it just really clicked with me.
Very cool. Very cool. DB.
I Chris, you and I are almost exactly the same age, and we were at that sweet spot. You nailed it. We were at the most impressionable age there. Tell us about your first Star Wars experience. You kind of already did.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it was at Christown Mall in Phoenix, Arizona, and my parents took me to go see it. And like I said, I was 7 years old in 1977, and you'd been seeing the trailer for like a year in the theater. So then after that, you see this amazing experience, have this amazing experience with, it was just Star Wars at the time. There was no A New Hope. There was no other sequels or anything. And then you go home and then you're like, how can I get more of this? Like, oh, there happens to be action figures that are coming out in a few months. Oh, great. So, then you get the action figures, and then you go play in the shag carpet in your living room, or you go outside and, whatever. And you make up all these stories that extends the myth that you just seen, in the theater. And maybe you build cardboard, life-size rocket ships that you play in, and imagine that you're flying the Millennium Falcon or a TIE fighter or something. And then you probably get clothing also. And then every Christmas after that is just a celebration of Star Wars, right?
This
so that's
sounds
kind
very
of how
familiar.
it was.
Yeah.
Right. You're building,
familiar.
you're building PVC pipe weapons, and you're running through the neighborhood with your friends who are also Star Wars, and you're having shootouts in the streets of Mos Eisley, and it just, that was it. My whole childhood was really, really happy. One, because I had such great parents, and who sort of like, they never stood in the way of my creativity, and also encouraged it. And then you had this incredible story, and that that was my first experience.
That's very cool. Very, very cool.
So familiar.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So growing up into Star Wars, do you remember your first Star Wars toy?
Yes, it was had to be the Luke Skywalker with the lightsaber that came out of his arm. Then I think that was the first one, and then I got the X-wing that he fits in, but my dad, he customized it. Like, he took the decals, like the extra edges, and he made letters out of the decals. So when I flipped it over, it said my initials on the bottom, and I just thought that was so neat.
Neat.
I have a custom, X-wing with my name on it. It was just so, that was the first, and then I think that was the first of many, obviously.
Oh, very cool. Do you still have those?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you a really quick story about that. I wasn't the kid who got every Star Wars toy that I wanted, because You know, we were a modest middle class family, and also my parents instilled in me that if there's something I really wanted, I need to pay half for it. So you know, that's like Atari or Star Wars, large Star Wars things. So I got all the toys that sometimes, you know, I had a paper route. I would ride to the hobby store on Saturday morning, play some Asteroids and Frogger, and then I would buy some action figures. And then when I was 13, you know, or 15, sorry, 2 years after Return of the Jedi, you know, we all had probably other you know, interests. Like mine was music. I was a musician, cars, girls. And so you know, I wasn't going to really invite a girl over and play action figures, you know, so.
That wasn't going to work?
No, it didn't.
DB can tell you that doesn't work, yeah.
Right. I mean, now, surprisingly, it would work. But anyway, so then at 15 years old, we had a garage sale. I was going through all my old stuff, and I sold all of my Star Wars figures and toys. And then when I, you know, made some money, this is great. Then when I was in my 40s, one Christmas, my parents came to visit, and my parents had this big box wrapped, and I was, you know, wow, what could this be? And I opened it, and my dad had bought all of my toys and given my mom the money, you know, at the behind the scenes there at the garage sale, and he saved them all. Like,
oh, how cool.
He saved them all. I had no idea. And so I'm open this in my 40s. And it's just like every Star Wars Christmas growing up just washes over you. And it was just such a treat. So my parents are just the best. So to answer your question, I do have several of them. And of course I would play with them with my kids, you know, like I was always a play with your toys kid. I wasn't storing it in packages. Even as an adult, and with kids, you know, I wanted to, you know, have these adventures with them too, and so we did. But every once in a while, some of them would get left out, and then the puppy would dismember Boba Fett or my original Luke Skywalker, you know. So, you know, stuff comes and goes, but I still have my original X-wing fighter with my initials on the back.
That is so awesome.
That is an awesome story, Chris. That is awesome.
That's very cool. So can you kind of take us on a journey? Because before you got into acting, you were doing game software design, right? With for gaming companies. And how did you get? Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. I'm an artist, so I was on the art side.
Okay.
And the design side, not on like the code side.
Okay. Well, still doing the art form. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So I got my first game job. I'd been a graphic designer for a while, and then someone suggested that I apply at this game studio because everyone drives Lamborghinis, and I'm like, well, I'm not really a Lamborghini guy, but you know, I mean, I can do other things with that money.
Right.
And so at the same time, actually, this is 5 years earlier, I had discovered, you know, building costumes as an adult. As a kid, my parents and I used to build costumes, and I was just always creative, making stuff. And as an adult, I discovered, life-size Stormtrooper kit. And then I discovered the 501st, which is, you know, the Lucasfilm recognized fan group of bad guys doing good. So Stormtroopers and Sith Lords and all that. So 2000, I built my first Stormtrooper kit, and I helped form me and 4 other guys formed the Central California garrison of the 501st. And so I had the Stormtrooper kit, and then that wasn't enough. I modified it to be a sand trooper, like in Mos Eisley, you know, with a big gun and the backpack and all dirty and everything. So when I sent in my portfolio to Epic Games, was where I applied. They said, you know, we've got like 400 people we're going through, so we'll let you know when we get to get to you. And I was like, oh man, how do I rise to the top of that besides having a good portfolio of work? So I put on my Stormtrooper, the Sand Trooper, and I marched into the offices of Epic Games with a little. I took a figure and stuck it to a little base, and it had my portfolio URL on there. This is 2005, and I walked in and rode up to the elevators at the top floor. Like no security stopped me. There was nobody around even, and even the office of the FBI there in Cary, North Carolina, didn't happen to have anybody out there. But I got this big gun here. Look at this. Still have it. This is like a Stormtrooper, legitimate, blaster. And so I walked out, the elevator opens, and there's the head of animation is standing there, and I go, I'm looking for the creative director, and he goes, oh, well, he'll be out here in just a minute. And just then, everyone from the entire company exited their offices and were in the hallway in front of the elevator because they were they were going to a company meeting. And they thought I was there as a representative of Lucasfilm. That I was not doing that. I did not present myself that way. I didn't say I'm with Lucasfilm, nothing like that. I was just playing a character. And so it was like perfect serendipity, I just couldn't have planned that any better. And so I was talking to the so someone's heard that story, rural farm boy. Thank you. And so I met Tim Sweeney, the head of Epic Games. I met the creative director at the time, Jerry O'Flaherty. And as a Stormtrooper, though, I stayed in character, and this is a key thread that goes through my whole career here. Okay, is staying in character. And so I just said that. And I have a voice, a microphone, and amplifier and stuff. And anyway, I just said I'm here to deliver a portfolio for Chris Bartlett. And they go, oh, great. Okay, well, we have seen his work, and thank you very much. And so, I talked to a couple of people there in character, and then I just wanted to make it short and sweet, so it was memorable and not like anything more than that. And so then I left, and then I got home, and there was an email waiting for me at home that said, hey, we've seen your portfolio, we really like it, and your appearance today, we assume it was you, made a real put you right at the top. So anyway, I got the job, not because I just showed up in a costume, but because I had a portfolio. But it did shine a light on the work. And so I worked there for 7 years, and worked on amazing games like Gears of War from the beginning, Fortnite, Unreal Tournament, and just had an incredible experience working with the most talented people in the game industry. And I was on the art side. So I was an artist, and have done that for 20 years.
That's almost very cool. That's very cool. Wow. What a story.
Awesome.
What a story.
So now any questions about that?
Did you guys want to transition over into, so how did you then transition over into working for every Star Wars geek's dream, for Lucasfilm?
Well, at the same time, I'm working full time and have a family and 3 kids at the time. And I mentioned I had been building costumes, and this one had been such a success, so I had been trooping with the 501st, doing events and charity things. And then I built a Boba Fett. I was trying to do as screen accurate as possible without, back then there's no 3D printing or anything. So, but it turned out pretty good. It's on my Flickr account there, or it's probably on my Instagram too. But, and then I built like a Tusken Raider. I built Jawas for my kids, a Gonk droid for my daughter, other various things. And then I'd never seen anyone do a shining C-3PO. There was so I embarked on a 3-year journey of cobbling together random obscure pieces that I could get from anywhere I could, from obscure collectors to copies of something or whatever, and then my friend and I, who is a fiberglass shop, very talented architect also. He and I worked together to cut apart and restore the parts that I was able to put together and restore them to as close as possible to the New Hope or Empire era suit. And this is in 2003, so it was a little before I got the job at Epic Games. And then so that took 3 years. And how I did that was I would go to work all day, come home, do the family routine, get the kids to bed, tell them Star Wars stories and tuck them in, and then I go out and work in the garage till 2 a.m. or whatever, just building stuff that props or blasters or whatever, it was just for myself. It was no career plan or anything like that. It was just I really love building things, and so that's what I was doing. So I did some 3D models of some of the pieces, like where oh gosh, like where the pieces fit together, like this Pete, I did like a 3D model of this so I could show to my friend who has a shop how this is supposed to function and how this is supposed to move together and stuff. And so and then I had a little help from legendary droid fabricator Don Bees, and also Lucasfilm archivist and droid builder and wrangler for the prequels. He was so kind to me and shared kind of how the suspension system works in the legs and all that kind of stuff. And so at the end of 3 years, I didn't even know if it was going to fit me. We were just trying to build it, and then we got it together. And my buddy Chris Sanders, who also lived in North Carolina, he suited me up for the first time, and you have this moment. I'm gonna get another.
Yep. How cool is this?
It's awesome.
So jealous.
There's this moment where you kind of have a bit of claustrophobic kind of feeling in here, because you can see the inside of the helmet, right? And it's kind of like a Tony Stark situation, but you don't have all the cool things. Right. It's more like Man in the Iron Mask kind of thing. Okay. And so I was a little nervous, but I was like, this is something I've always, I've been working so long on that I want to finish up. And so I just try to focus on what's outside, what I can see through these little tiny drinking straw holes. Wow. Yeah, they're very small, but that's what you look through. And so we put it on, and then we walked around a little bit, or I walked around a little bit, and then I went and did an event at the Boston Museum of Science up in Boston. It was where Star Wars meets imagination. And it just so happened that Anthony Daniels was going to be there. I mean, I knew he was going to be there, but this was super early. Like I had been working on the voice for 80 minutes a day, walking. Oh, thanks, Peeps. Walking or riding back and forth to work. I'm working on the voice in the car, and it was really early. It was not great, but I was just trying to get better. And so I wore it to this event, and I met Anthony Daniels in the suit, and he goes, "Let's hear you do the voice." And that's like Elvis asking an Elvis impersonator, "Do me," Right. But he was very nice, and I said, I made a attempt. I was so out of breath, and I was just, so like trying to do a good job, and it's like your very, very first audition. That's how I saw it as. Not that I thought that I was gonna get some job out of it. Only it's just you want to put on a good show for your audience. And he at the moment was my audience. And so so I said, why, hello, I am C-3PO, Human Cyborg Relations. And he goes, oh, pretty good. Let's slow it down a little. He goes, let's slow it down a little. I said, oh, okay, thanks. And then he gave me a couple of, taught me a little bit about how the parts move, like how the motion is with 3PO. And I'd been studying that on YouTube for, like 2 years at that point, trying to like see like what is it about that makes it so characteristic, his motions and everything. So that was that. I was going to show you what the inside of this might look like. So if you're going to put this on, you're basically looking like this. It's spooky, right?
Oh wow!
It's spooky. You're not. And so you got to just focus on what's outside, because if you focus on what's inside, you're going to lose your mind. So anyway,
crazy.
That led to a video being posted that was posted on YouTube of me being there at the event, and I was just walking. I was just taking a few steps, and I turned. There's an older couple there. I said, "Oh, hello." That was it. That was the whole video. And someone at Lucasfilm saw that and contacted me a few months later, probably 4 months later or something. But in the meantime, I had sent the suit off to be chromed, and after spending 3 years of trying to create something that I wanted to be unmistakable, at least to most fans, from the real thing, now the dream has happened. They've called and I don't have it.
Oh.
So I was just, it's just, anyway, so they said, well, where is it? I said, well, it's being chromed in Los Angeles. And they said, oh, hang on just a minute. Hello, this is Lucasfilm. You have a C-3PO costume there. We would like it done this week instead of in 5 weeks. And they said, oh, yep, no problem. So they got it done. And that was all thanks to Steve Sansweet, by the way. Steve Sansweet had seen my video, and he was the head of, I believe, head of fan relations at the time. He was working with Mary Franklin, who worked at Lucasfilm then. And so anyway, he was the one who had told Mary about me, and then they sent me this fabulous email. But then when we had the meeting, so then they chromed the suit. They finished chroming the suit, flew it up to Los Angeles or San Francisco, and then I fly out from North Carolina to San Francisco and finish building the costume at the Presidio at Lucasfilm. So that point was the second greatest day of my fandom, and you guys, since then, every day that I get to do this is now the newest best day of my being a Star Wars fan. I mean, I just feel so lucky to be able to do some of this stuff. So so then I finished building it and assembling it, and they bolt me together. Hang on just a second.
Mm-hmm.
They bolt me together, screw the head on, and turn on the lights and the microphone, and I said, all this excitement is overrun the circuits in my counterpart here. If you don't mind, I'd like to take him down to maintenance. And they said, oh, so you can do the voice. And I was like, I was trying, and they're like, well, that's a bonus. That's good. So you're going to Australia, and we're going to, there's an event there that you're going to do. And it was this, they had a voice track done by Tom Kane, who had done, impersonation of C-3PO, and I was supposed to mime this very long presentation that was actually really dry. But if C-3PO is there doing it, wow, it's pretty interesting. It captures the audience. So I did that, and then when I got done and it came back, I said, "Gosh, you guys, I hope that was everything you'd hoped, and please let me know if you ever want to do it again." And now it's been 18 years of doing that, and I just
wow,
I just feel so grateful. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
You guys remember the movie Wayne's World?
Yeah.
All I'm thinking is, we're not worthy. You are awesome, sir.
Oh, listen, droid bait. I will just say that my philosophy in life was like, let's just try it. Let's just see, because like you don't learn anything from success. This is something I learned from. I heard George Clooney say in an interview recently. He goes, "We learn nothing from success. Everything we learn is from failure, and so fail a lot." That's my idea is I just fail a lot. Just try stuff. Like, yeah, you may not be a great artist, but try drawing something. Maybe you're not going to build a super accurate Stormtrooper blaster, but like just see what you can do. And so that's just been my philosophy. Let's just try it because I'm a hopeful person. I'm very optimistic, and I feel like, it won't be great at the beginning, but what if you did it every day for a year, or what if you practice doing a voice every day on your commute for 80 minutes for like 3 months? What would happen?
Right.
So
I think that's really good advice, and actually that answers one of the questions that I was going to ask, which was what's something you didn't expect to learn, going through this process, and I think that's a great life lesson for anybody, really. I mean, it's kind of part of the reason we have this podcast going. We got, we're talking at work all the time, and we're like, let's just try it. Let's just do it. And
good. See?
And here we are talking to you, and,
Well,
so, I mean, it's, like you said, incremental steps, and you just keep pushing and you just keep trying and enjoy the journey along the way.
Well, and congratulations on 75 or 100 episodes. I mean, that's,
Thank you.
I'm just a very small part of a great accomplishment that you guys have been able to do. So good for you.
No, So, what or did you guys? Sorry, DB or
no? I was going to ask. Do you know how many different characters you've played in the Star Wars universe?
Yes, I do.
You want to share that?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking because there's other shows I've done too that are. Sure. I'm not going to count those ones. This is just in Star Wars with Ahsoka. I just crossed 20 Star Wars characters.
Wow.
In each.
That's awesome.
Excuse me, unique individual characters, and those are all featured or main characters on those TV shows. One of them is C-3PO. All the rest of them are bounty hunters and mercenaries and teachers or traffic, pedestrians or but they're all characters who've had a really nice featured moment or are a main character. One example is Q90, who's my favorite character that I played from season 1 of The Mandalorian. You played a quote from him at the beginning. I don't know if viewers got to see the picture, but yeah, he was so different from C-3PO. Yeah. And there he is. Oh, look at how handsome.
I love that character.
So, but he's so cool, and he looks like the action figure I never had growing up. And then when Funko came out with a Funko, and then Black Series Hasbro came out with, I was just like, you guys, it's too much. I just am so like this. When you get being in Star Wars is the dream. Yes, look at. When being in Star Wars is a dream, and then you get an action figure. Being a kid who grew up and was introduced to action figures by Star Wars, it's icing on a 4-story birthday cake. I mean, it's just so cool.
Right. Yeah. For sure. So with so who do we have to petition? Because Star Wars. I'm half kidding here, but Star Wars, we love our prequels, obviously. Star Wars is not afraid of doing prequels. Who do we have to petition to get a prequel, either just a single episode spinoff, a mini movie, something of you as Zero, Berg, Zion, Mayfield, and do some sort of, what I mean? Some sort of mercenaries little spinoff. That would be just, I think that'd be a phenomenal little thing.
Who do you need to? I'm posting it on X or Twitter.
Okay.
That's a really good way. And that's that is I don't know. I don't want to give away any secrets. I'm just saying that that Lucasfilm and Disney really, well, let's say, I'm not going to speak for them. I'm just going to say I have noticed that people like, say, Rosario Dawson, who, says how much she wants to be in Star Wars, or somebody fan cast her as Ahsoka, and then she was like, yes, I want to do that. It's interesting how those voices are heard and who listens to those, So yeah, totally. If you want to have a prequel of I don't know what we would call that, where the squad from episode 1 gets together, Bill Burr, who I freaking love Bill Burr's character in season 2 when he went, oh gosh, that episode was so awesome. And he did just such a fantastic job. I think he was a great choice too, because of having kind of poked fun at Star Wars fans in the past, and then he's cast in Star Wars, and then becomes a really loved character. So anyway, you just.
I think that'd be awesome. Yeah, we'll start the petition. Yeah, absolutely. We'll start the campaign.
Hey, the thing is, I love telling cool stories, like fun, stories. Maybe they have a little twist. I love telling stories, and if they're with cool characters, great. So you can do what you want. This is America. You post whatever you want, but I will 100% share it if you post it. So
definitely. So I've got a question or something. Hold on. So Rural Farm Boy brought up, and one's a Cascadag, and I was going to ask about that because it's one of my favorite scenes in Book of Boba Fett, because it's just that it's the one shot. And and you are there as the Cascadag in the elevator. And how is it different, because I'm guessing some of that was more prosthetics and or was it just a whole like preformed mask that you fit over?
It was a whole head.
Okay.
But then there's also the costume, designed by Shauna Terpsik, who sadly we lost last year. She built the costume around me, so I'm standing there. She's draping things on me. She's trying to see what works, what doesn't work. We're changing stuff, and the idea was I was supposed to be a fancy alien, whatever that means. But for me, I was like, oh, he's probably wealthy. He's probably has soft hands. He that hasn't done a lot of maybe manual labor, and anyway, so I was very regal, and of course you put me in a dress, so that's that's also fun to play with. But I like the moment. Yeah, first of all, that one shot was so cool, and we had to do it several times, mainly because they were trying to get the elevator moment to be just right. So I'm working with Jon Favreau's there, and also Bryce Dallas Howard, who's directing, and that was so funny. Trying to get I'm just trying stuff. I get in, Mando gets in the elevator, and I look at him, and then look down at the bloody head in a bag, and then I'm supposed to look at him, and then I was like, slip out of the scene, or I'm shuffling my feet like this, or I jump or whatever. So I'm just trying stuff, and so we were working with that, trying to, because we didn't have they were just you go in the elevator, you look them up and down, and so there wasn't a ton of rehearsal, but we did have a one shot with scores of people that are waiting for the camera to get to them and stuff. So anyway, it was really a great scene, and I'm glad you really liked it. It was such a joy working with Bryce Dallas Howard and John. John said, "Chris, let me take you to comedy school," and I was like, "Okay, learning."
Oh, wow,
that's so great. So we go over and look at the monitor. He says, "See what you're doing here? Hold off the beat for just a second, and then we'll do that and see how that looks." So we tried a couple times and got it. It It was every moment is just such a joy.
That's cool. And that kind of leads into something I was going to ask about too, which was, so one of the reasons that you came on my radar, because of your stuff early on in Mandalorian, and I started reading about you and Misty and some of the other, performance artists that you really bring bring these characters to life, because a lot of times you can't see the face, you can't see any emotion. So just like you said in the elevator scene, it's all about body language. And I think that's why, and one of the things that Lucasfilm with Disney has really brought to the forefront back, at least to me, and these guys, know I talk about it all the time, is just what you guys bring to the whole performance. You're bringing that whole world, just through your body language and acting. So is that something that you've kind of taught yourself along the way, or have they coached you on it, since you've kind of gotten into Lucasfilm?
That's a great question. Some of the coaching has been timing, like I just mentioned with John, like when you do something. But for me, like I said, I built costumes as kids with my parents, and have been building costumes since 2000. The thing I love about costume work is that the costume really informs your performance. And C-3PO, he looks surprised usually, right? He looks very surprised. And Q90 was he had these like praying mantis eyes or head, really. Boba Fett has the slim visor, that's like a Clint Eastwood squint, and stormtroopers look like a skull. And so like your brain, and hopefully the audience's brain too, will they glue something from their brain onto your character already when they see the face. And I go with what kind of first comes to me. Zero is, like I mentioned, like a praying mantis. I went and studied praying mantis videos when I found out when I saw the concept art by Brian Matthias, and so praying mantis insect bugs they move really creepy. They're and you watch their mandibles and they're going like this, they're just, and their eyes, they're just so creepy. So that's how I played Zero, and I wanted to be able to look at someone while my body is moving and I'm still focused on them, kind of thing. And but C-3PO, we know we have tons of reference from Anthony Daniels of how he moves, and he's always a fish out of water, and so you have to read the script to find out, what this character, what their attitude is, what they want. And like Zero, he mentions, my response time is quicker than organics, and I'm smarter too. And so he's proclaiming, I'm smarter than all of you. And that's such a cool, fun attitude to have in that scene. So, but the way he looks is creepy. So he's like this creepy know-it-all, and a killing machine. I also played Copper. I'm going to show you another piece here. Copper was Copper was Grief Karga's right-hand droid in Navarro, played by and Grief Karga played by Carl Weathers, who sadly we also lost recently. And Copper was he was also, this is an unchromed helmet, but this is one of the production helmets, and I get to have it. And so, but look, he looks surprised, but he looks like his mouth is shut. C-3PO has a little mouth, at least C-3PO is like, but Copper is like, and so that's kind of how I played it too. And so he's kind of an egghead, kind of not an egghead, but like, I played him as kind of a younger, more naive C-3PO, like he is helping and helpful, but he doesn't know as much, and he's not as streetwise as, say, Grief Karga was, and that's how I played him. So it's a combination of the the script and the look of the character that sort of informs how I play the characters. But yeah, you're right. You have to push the performance and all the emotion through the helmet, and that's just very physical. You know, that's if you go watch season 3 of The Mandalorian, you'll see Copper when he comes in and he has wrong information again, and you know, I had to, oh yes, you're right, I'm so sorry, you know, that kind of a thing. And you really have to play that bigger than what you think you're doing it physically, because you've got this shell that you're inside. You might be moving a lot, but the shell might not be moving as much as you think. So you have to overplay that a little bit so that the emotion is really, you know, clearly detected.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And for our viewers,
There you go.
there's a picture of him with Mr. Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
And so as a fan, how does it feel to be like, you're in the Star Wars universe, you've talked, you know, Favreau and you know, Carl Weathers and stuff. I mean, just how does that, how geeked are you every day that you get to just, you know, growing up and watching the universe, and now you're participating in the universe?
Well, Brown Leader, it is as wild as you can imagine. You personally, if it happened to you, that's exactly how it feels.
Right.
One story, being on set very early on, that this was in season 1, so nothing had aired, no trailers or anything. I'm just overjoyed, excited to be on the show, but you know, I'm professional, I'm working, I'm telling stories with you know, whatever, and trying to keep this contained, but I'm like up to here, you know, and so I'm watching this scene. I'm literally up to here in a droid costume, and I'm standing next to Werner Herzog, who is plays the client, the former. He's basically an Imperial warlord, but a former Imperial officer or commander or something. And you know, Werner Herzog is a legendary writer, actor, director, you know, in cinema, and so he just brought so much gravity to the show. And so I'm standing next to him, we're watching a scene being filmed, and I'm just inside just going like, I'm 7 years old, I need to be an adult. And so, you know, but of course I look funny because I'm in this costume, and I just really quietly, very gently just leaned over just a little bit, and I was like, because in my mind I'm like, Star Wars is back, and Jon Favreau's doing it. I mean, like, this could, and Dave Filoni, this couldn't get any better. And I just leaned over just very quietly, and I was like, isn't this exciting? And he goes, this is serious work. We are breathing life into characters which would not otherwise exist. And I go, yeah, you're right. That's what I was thinking. And that's what I meant by that. So I'm just going to be over here. So anyway, but it was this awesome masterclass in like 10 seconds of what we're doing, and not only what we're doing, but like as an actor and as a performer, you know, we're not a fanboy in a costume right now. We are doing the work of an actor telling stories of this incredible universe that people already have all these expectations for, and I do too. And you know, we don't want to screw it up. We want to tell stories that are compelling and relate to our, you know, the stories we saw in our childhood. And so yeah, that's yes, I geek out. I have another story about that I can tell you in a minute, but yeah, it's you kind of have to like get a thick skin about it. I don't know. No, that's not what I mean. But like you have to harden your resolve to, you know, do a good job and not be a dork.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Guys,
Yeah.
Questions, guys? Come on.
Oh, we've been waiting for you. So a lot of people have met that C-3PO character through you. I mean, he's a very iconic Star Wars character. How do you prepare yourself for that, and how does that feel to know that a lot of people have met C-3PO through you?
Gosh, I hadn't thought of it that way. Because I feel like they're meeting C-3PO. A couple of examples of the work that I've done is like on the Oscars a few years ago in 2016 when 3PO and R2 and BB-8 make a surprise appearance and make a kind of like a shout out to John Williams, who had received his 50th Oscar nomination. And so I don't know if you guys have heard this story backstage at the Oscars. No? Oh, okay. So, you know, this happens regularly when I'm on production and a director will say, all right, Chris, why don't you come out? Just, you know, you don't have to put the head on, just put on your costume, come out, you can meet the cast and stuff. And then we'll rehearse and do some stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I tell my dresser, we're doing the whole thing, put the whole head on, we're doing the microphone, the lights and everything. And then I just wander out onto set like I'm lost. Is this a droid maintenance facility? My goodness. You know, and so what happens is people are meeting C-3PO. They're not meeting a guy in a suit or who is that? Or, oh, that's some whatever. They're meeting C-3PO. This is the importance of character integrity. You know, I mean, if he was just being seen for the first time, I'd still be playing it. Like I still go out in costume, fully dressed. I never go out first with Chris, with just my head off. You know, because I want the cast to meet this character, this creature, this droid, whatever, for the first time, so that they. And it happened with. Well, okay, so at the Oscars, Mike Senna was the R2D2, and so what we did was we were walking backstage at the Oscars as all these people, crew, celebrities walking by and going to their locations and everything, but I'm just walking along with R2, you know, and we're arguing about. I forgot the tickets for your job, you nitwit. You know, and we're lost. And I'm looking, and I can see through the tiny holes. I'm seeing people's reaction, and that is like applause on stage. It is you are making someone happy by creating but with something you created. That was, I'm not saying created C-3PO. I'm saying the performance that I was doing was something I made, and it's a gift to anybody around. And you know, some people will be like, yeah, C-3PO. But most people were you know, Lady Gaga came around the corner just as I was coming around the corner. And she's a huge Star Wars fan, and we bump into each other. And I say, and we both said at the same time, my goodness. And so I said, Miss Gaga, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm very much looking forward to your performance. And so that's on YouTube if you look up Gaga C-3PO, that moment. But you know, when I was on Ahsoka, and I'm going out to, I was playing one of the red droids, C1D1, on episode 2, and Rosario and Mary, Rosario Dawson and Mary Elizabeth were on set there, and I came out in full character, and I was just again like my job was to I'm running the along with there's another droid I could tell you about that too. You know, we're basically maintaining the I don't know, whatever, the navigation or something. It's just kind of that. So I just went out very and I looked for buttons. I was just looking for buttons to I'm going to yes this like that, you know. So I was just being kind of part of the environment, and Rosario goes. She comes over and goes, "Whoa, you are such a vibe." And I go, and then they took off the helmet, and she was like, "Oh, Chris, wow, it's you again." And I go, "Oh, you know my name? Wow, that's so nice." Anyway, and she goes, I wanna, we should do a chest bump, Ahsoka and C1D1. We should do a chest bump, but I don't want to knock you over. And I was like, "Bring it in, Ahsoka." So we had this super funny, awkward chest bump, if you can picture that. But you know, I want the characters to feel real. I don't have nobody knows who Chris Bartlett is on these sets. I mean, they do now, but I mean, at first I want them to see the character, because that is it not only does the audience see the character, but I want the crew and the cast to feel something too. And when you wear a costume and a mask, it's so much, it just does so much to, I don't know, to create that feeling. And so that's just one of the most fun things of my day.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously the world loves it, but how do your kids feel about Dad being Star Wars, and how do they feel about being C-3PO?
It's funny. How does when you are so familiar with someone, you're always that person to them. You're not C-3PO. You're not a celebrity of any kind. You're just that guy who sometimes get frustrated and also tucks us into bed, or whatever, any of that stuff. So my kids are like, yeah, that's cool. It's not, I'm like, hey, there's a new episode of Mandalorian season 3. Have you seen it? Yeah, I've seen this one. And they're like, no. I haven't seen that. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, if you're in Star Wars, I will watch it, but it's fine if you don't need to today. It's fine. So that's fine. I'll be right over here. There's no pressure. I'll see you. I don't require any, validation from my kids to have any self-worth, but it's fun. Like it's a pretty big show and it's cool, but no, they're pretty low key about it. Their friends, on the other hand, that's a different story.
Right.
Because they're like, wait, your dad tried to kill Baby Yoda?
And that was my next question.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
my
cool.
son was like, oh, my dad, or he tried to tell them, oh, my dad is that robot. He's the droid who tried to kill Baby Yoda. And they're like, what are you talking about? And he goes, no, that's my dad, and then when they figure it out, and then he gives them more information or whatever, then it's like, oh wow, the friends are more interested, I think, than my kids. But I mean, I don't want to downplay. My kids have been Star Wars fans. My oldest daughter Paige, always wanted to be, for Halloween, the bad girls in Star Wars, even when she was little. I mean, cool. Leia, but then there was like Ula, Aura Singh, Zam Wessel, and and Jawas, I guess, could be bad girls. I don't know.
Yeah, they can.
So you had to build costumes for them too.
I wanted to. Are you kidding? They weren't. Yeah. They didn't. I mean, I mean, when I built my very first Stormtrooper, my daughter was probably 5, and I just got her a Princess Leia costume, and I have this treasure of a photo of 5'10" Stormtrooper with little 5-year-old Princess Leia, and we're like back to back, like we're it was so cool. I love it. But yeah, no, my daughter did ask me to build a gonk droid for her on November 1st, so the day after Halloween. So I was like, oh, no time like the present, I'm on it. And I had it done by like December 1st, and so all year I was like, is it Halloween yet? I can't wait. So we do like a little test, she's walking around in the driveway and stuff, and it's great. Okay, this is going to be great. It's you can see good enough. It's fine. And so then when Halloween came around, it was like Halloween day. I'm like, it's here. And then she goes, I'm just gonna wear my pajamas. And I was like, you're grounded. No, but anyway, we always have fun.
Do we still have the gonk droid?
No, sadly, he went to the trash compactor a few years ago. I had to move, and I had to lighten the load. I did post it out on the internet. I said, hey, this is out at my house on the curb if you want it. And it was like a gonk droid standing. It was displayed, and sadly, no one came by to get it. But look,
if I would have seen it, I would have drove there.
I can make another one. Yeah.
Scruffy's building he's building a gonk army is what he's doing.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're at 35 right now. I'm not stopping until I hit 100.
How big are they?
Oh, just a 3 3/4 size.
Okay,
Yeah.
still fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll get 100, and we'll see where we go from there. We'll
Wow.
probably keep going.
Yes, that's great. Yeah. And are you 3D printing these?
No, these are the old Kenner action figure, 3 3/4 inch.
Oh,
guns.
you're collecting them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
So
very
we're
dramatic.
at about
Okay.
yeah, we're at about 35 right now. Like I said, we'll keep going until we hit 100, and we'll see where we go from there.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Gonk droids are one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. There was Boba Fett when I was a kid, and then the Gonk droid, because it's such a simple design.
Mhm.
And it's so, I don't know how they became so, I became so, my heart is warmed by Gonk droids. They're innocent. It seems like they're batteries, they're walking batteries basically. But they don't really have an eyeball or, that makes something cute, little eyes. But I always love how simple they are, and they belong everywhere in every episode probably of Star Wars should be. So
Absolutely. I have no idea either why. They were always one of my favorite characters. One of my favorite.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite action figures.
Well,
I
in the
could not tell
70s,
you
they had
why.
the little clicky legs, right? Their legs
Yep.
would click when they moved. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was fun too.
All right, so
Absolutely.
we did have one listener send in a question, and we should play
Okay.
that really quick since we're going long.
Okay.
So this is from Rural Farm Boy. He's been in some of the comments. He's kind of a super fan. He's actually the one kind of responsible for getting this all together, because he had put out
I love it.
He had put
Thanks,
out a tweet,
Rural Farm Boy.
and
Yes.
he was our first guest. He is also Brown 5, and he goes by Spotchka. And so the whole story of the Spotchka timeline is our first 25 shows were under a different name, and he listened to us back then. And then when we renamed ourselves Hyperspace Heroes, we started over at 1, and he has always counted those extra 25 episodes.
Oh, yeah, I see.
So we kind of call it the Spotchka timeline. So let's play this really quick.
Okay.
Howdy, Brown Squadron boys. This is Brown 5 Spotchka, or better known in the Twitterverse as Rural Farm Boy, RFP. Here to drop a quick little question to your guest for this episode, Mr. Chris Bartlett. And it concerns a particular character that I'm not seeing Brown Leader sharing in the Twitterverse. It's one that I'm familiar with. I think we're all sort of familiar, that caught our eyes back in season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Okay.
The episode is Guns for Hire, and this takes place on Plaisir 15. In the droid bar, the Resistor, there's a certain blue protocol droid that we see, kind of fixing to make its way out of the bar, but Mando stops him. This comes in relation to, I want to say it was last year for Christmas, there was a charity stream that was put together by another Star Wars podcast, 4 fellas that call themselves the Dad Batch, who are in real life real friends, and they costume as the Bad Batch. And they look really good. They had a number of different personalities that helped put different parts of Star Wars stories together for Mando, among other things. Tate Fletcher stopped by for a bit and had a chat with them. And if I recall correctly, because I was watching in the chat and watching, Chris stopped by too. And he had a story he spun concerning that particular blue protocol droid. Looks like a blue 3PO. That's the story about that costume is of great interest. I'd like to ask Chris if he might take a few minutes or the time needed to spin that tale for us listeners.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward to the whole chat. Come keep me company on my work day or on my afternoon when I'm home from work.
All right.
And until then, may the force be with you. And
Okay.
as a loyal supporter of the Galactic Empire, I'm obliged to say, long live the Empire.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is the droid head that he's referring to. It's
cool.
a gorgeous color, right? Look at that.
Yes.
So this is the one that appeared in the in that droid scene in the Resistor. Now, the way that this came about was years ago when I was building my C-3PO, I shared some parts with friends who also wanted to try it, and so one of those was a man named Paul Wadley, who also went by Pedge Wadley, and he built one of my suits, and he trooped around, well, as C-3PO in the UK for many years. He was really great at it. It fit him really very well. He wore it very well. I never saw him in person do it, but I saw, followed the pictures and stuff, and he did a great job. And he was also really helpful to other C-3PO builders who were building their own, and that was always really special too. So over the years, we kind of stayed in touch a little bit, and then recently we started to keep in more in touch, and then he began to suffer from a motor neuron disease, which sadly makes it so that you can't use your limbs or your muscles, and so he couldn't costume anymore. But he had this idea to do a blue chrome C-3PO, and he sent me a picture of his helmet. This I think it was this one, and he was like, I want to send this to you as a thank you for over the years of doing C-3PO stuff and sharing stuff with fans. With other builders and stuff. And I was like, oh, let me pay you for that. I don't want to take that, And he was like, no. He insisted. And I was like, let me pay for shipping or something, And so it was the head that he sent me. And then I built a full suit underneath that, a whole suit, so the head could go with, and so I was like, would you be okay if I, try to get this on the show? Jon Favreau appreciates people with ideas, and I think this is a cool idea, and I pitched it, and so, of course, Paul was like, yes, that would be a dream. And so I didn't realize it at the time that I was talking with him back and forth. He was communicating only via being able to look at letters or words on his screen, and that was typing the messages out. So I could never have a phone call with him or because it was so difficult. I didn't realize at the time it was so difficult for him to communicate. And so he was really inspirational in the origin of the idea of having a blue chrome droid on the show. So I was writing him one day, and I said, hey, I just had a couple questions about the details of what your it was just about some parts that he had sent, and he didn't get back to me, and the reason is because Paul sadly had passed away. And I said inside myself, I am so glad that we were able to, but it hadn't been filmed yet, so then when we went to film it, I didn't know how it was going to be used, but but Blue got this really special featured moment that I thought was so appropriate to Paul, because Paul, he just had fun. Like he would go, he was had a really fun, friendly personality. He created a lot of fun for other fans in trooping, and he did that because it brought so much enjoyment to him. So I thought it was interesting. I had no input on the script or anything like that, but I thought it was interesting that and then Paul was taken from us unexpectedly, or after a long time. Nobody knew that he was. I didn't know that it was that he was that close, and to passing, and I thought it was really special in the episode. One, that it was an all droid, not only droid bar, but it was an all droid planet, and that in the scene, Blue makes he has to go. He needs to get out of there, right? And then, but before that, he's having a great time. Like there's parts that you didn't get to see in the scene that he's joking with the other droids. Bryce Dallas Howard was directing Dan Bowman, my friend, who was performing in the suit, about you're telling jokes. Oh, there's a punchline. We're laughing. All the droids are laughing, and it's just having such a great time. But then Blue has to leave. And then Mando says nobody leaves, and he gets to stay. And that, I felt like it was really appropriate, because that was the kind of person Paul was, and he was taken from us when we all really wanted him to stay.
Oh wow.
So it was I just love that his inspiration as a fan got to have a really special moment in Mandalorian. Sadly, he was not able to see the episode before it aired, but his family did, and I've been in touch with his family, who are lovely people, and so I continue to stay in touch with them. So
wow,
yeah, that's the story of Blue.
Wow, that's really touching.
Yeah,
what an amazing story.
Yeah, there he goes.
Yeah, no kidding.
With his eyes on this time.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's such a beautiful color. It's kind of like a aqua blue, and it's just that this in the video just doesn't do any justice to it. But you can see it on the show.
Yeah,
very special. Yeah,
for sure.
Glad you asked about it.
Yeah,
rural farm boy.
Yeah, thanks, Spotchka. Appreciate that. So, all right. So, quick question, and I'll throw this up on the screen because this is on your IMDb. And were you in one of those suits? And if so, which one was it?
No, I think that's the trailer from The Mandalorian. So that's why that's up there. That it's just playing the Mandalorian season 3 trailer. But I played in season 3. I played Copper and what else did I play in? Gosh, I apologize. I can't remember.
No, it's all good. So if you, what's a role that you haven't played that you would like to play?
2. There's one. I really, really want to bring 000 to live action. Yes. He is what looks like a black C-3PO, black protocol droid with red eyes. Mm-hmm. Yep. He is teamed up with BT-1. These are from the comics with Dr. Aphra, who is she's like a Indiana Jones type character. Yep. And he looks like C-3PO. He talks kind of like C-3PO, or his dialogue is, but he is a psychopathic torture droid who runs a crime syndicate at one point, and he has all these all these attachments that come out of his fingers that are all, there's like spinning saws and needles and bone crunchers and all kinds of stuff, and flamethrowers and stuff. So I would just love to see and bring that character to live action in some way, and just explore like how that might, because we've only seen him in action in the comics. Mm-hmm. And I would just love to see how we might be able to do that. And then other characters, I would like to do an on camera character where we do it without the mask and see see what happens with that. But I have gone on to play other roles in other shows. There was most recently a show called Shining Vale with Courtney Cox and Greg Kinnear, where I play the creepy goat.
Yeah. So I have not seen this.
Which was the villain of season 2 of Shining Vale. Shining Vale is like a horror show with a dark comedy undertone. And it's a great show. I really love it. And yeah, so I played this villain in season 2, and then I was also on the episode of the Orville, the Seth MacFarlane show.
Yes.
Okay, there was my next question.
Yeah, where I played Surprise, a robot, and it was a Kalon robot. But the cool thing about being on set was they asked me to train all the other Kalons to walk like a robot, or we're all walking in unison. Mark Jacobson plays Isaac on the Orville, and Mark Jackson. No wait. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is a terrible moment. I'm so sorry, Mark.
It's okay.
Anyway, Mark said, this is not C-3PO, 0% C-3PO. And I was like, yeah, no, it's a totally different character. It's a robot. And we wear butt pads so that all of our butts look the same size. Anyway, so we walked, we there down in Hollywood, we're walking, not on the boulevard, but on the set, walking in unison in file formation, and we're all walking in step and everything. And so it was a real treat to be able to work with all these other guys who played Kalons, and to contribute to that show too. We had just had a lot of fun.
That's cool. That's very cool. I do want to say that mentioning that you'd like to do something without the helmet on, when we told some of the ladies at the office that we were going to have you on the show, and they looked you up on IMDb, it was pretty unanimous that they want to see you in a role without the helmet on, so without a mask on. So
they hate droids, is that it?
No.
Okay.
No, they preferred the pictures of you without the mask on. So
oh, that's so sweet. Oh gosh, you guys are so sweet.
So
my mom shares the same opinion. So yeah, maybe someday, but I'm working on it. Taking more, every person who has a specialty, you only excel when you're always learning. So whether you're taking classes or more acting classes or whatever, the best actors are always still learning. And so that's also what I'm doing. And so anyway, yeah, I hope their dreams come true.
Yeah, so do we. So one thing I wanted to ask about, because back on Zero or Q90, so you got to sit in the Razor Crest and pilot it, and how cool was that to just, wow.
It was fine.
Yeah, it's just fine.
Yeah. I could go on about this for half an hour, but I won't do that. Real quick, I mentioned building a cardboard spaceship out of a refrigerator box when I was a kid, with the windows, the buttons, and everything. And so when I got the script for that episode, and so I was like, okay, I'm following all the stuff with Zero, just getting to know him before I read the whole rest of it, and then I see him flying the ship, and I was like, I don't know what the ship looks like at this point, but it's in Star Wars, and I'm flying a ship, so this will be the greatest day of my life. And so I had been looking forward to this day. First of all, you're in Star Wars. You're in the Mandalorian. You're working with all these incredibly talented, passionate people. But also, I'm going to be flying the ship. So that I was looking forward to that day. And so when I got the word, okay, we're going to be filming your cockpit scenes, I could not sleep. So I laid awake all night before, and I could not get to sleep. I got the white noise, I got the mask, whatever. I couldn't sleep. And so I get to work the next day. I'm on set, and Jon Favreau says, all right, Chris, why don't you go get familiar with the cockpit? And I was like, I'll be right over here, living my dreams. And so, they're shooting a scene over here. I wander over to the cockpit. It's all low lit in there, but all the dash and all the console is all lit up with all the red, black, and white buttons and all the chrome switches and everything. And so I just reach over and like push one and like, oh, it turned off. What about this one? Oh, that turned off. What happens if I hit it again? Oh, it turns on. Wow. What about this? They all do it. Oh, and the switches up here and they're all, everything works, you know? And so I was doing that for a little bit. And then I didn't have the helmet on. I'm just, you know, just wearing the top. And I just sit back in Mando's seat and I just had this big sigh of relief, like, wow. And then I passed out. So like all the air went out of me and I passed out in the seat. I had fallen asleep because I was so exhausted and got myself so worked up. So, but boys, I'm a professional actor. So we'll just keep this between us. Anyway, so apparently I'm out, like asleep. And Jon Favreau and Deborah Chow, director, come in the back behind me, and they're like, "All right, Chris, we're about ready to use you. We're gonna do the scene." And I don't hear them, and so I hear Chris, and I feel my chair, and I go, "Oh, hi, I'm fine. We're fine. Well, I'm ready to go. These buttons all work. Are you ready to go, John?" and so I was like so embarrassed, but it was all for the love of what I was doing. I was just so excited. And anyway, so no problem. We got started and we shot all those scenes. And so in the scene, I'm a droid, right? So I don't know if you know this, but some droids fly ships by scompjacking into them and controlling them that way. Mm-hmm. It is I had a little thing. It's a scomp jack that pops up, or link. It's a scomp jack. The link is what's in the wall, I believe.
Yeah,
we'll see. Anyway, and so John says that's how you're going to fly the ship, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be doing like beep, 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 like this and all this. I'm not going to be doing that. And he said, no, it's just you're like a computer, so you're flying it like that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm in Star Wars. I'm not complaining, but it's fine. It seems kind of boring, but okay. And so the whole time I'm flying, you see me with my arm out to the right. However, I was like, I'm gonna just push this over here because it's official looking, and I need to make some computations on the Navicomputer up here. So I'm gonna do that kind of stuff, and I'm gonna flip this over here. And they were like, Deborah Chow goes, you can keep doing that. And I go, okay, yeah, good, because I'm going to, and you can edit it out if you want. But no, she was so Deborah Chow, working with her, she was very serious, and also is so good at telling you exactly what she wanted. Like she goes, Chris, I want you to give me 0 energy. and I was like, oh, I know what you're saying. I got it. Nobody else knew what she was talking about. She was like, Chris, give me that 0 energy. And I was like, oh, Q9 0 energy. I got it. Fine. So anyway, it was so much fun, that cockpit, all those cockpit scenes. I was in freaking heaven, as you would be, Brown Leader, as you would be, Scruffy and Droid Bait. You would be in total heaven, nerd heaven. Awesome. And then you're getting paid for it. And also it's going to be on TV and all of your friends are going to see it. Like, it's just the greatest day ever. But you go all the way back to the day when I get this email that says, we would like you to come in for a little audition in your suit that you built. You go all the way back to that. That was the greatest day ever. And then you are on the Oscars, and then you meet the President of the United States, and then you are in Star Wars, and you're in The Mandalorian, and now you're flying a ship in Star Wars, and it just I'm just having the time of my life, you guys. Just exactly as you would, if it happened to you, that same feeling. There's nothing different.
Very cool. Very cool. And
awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, are you crying?
He might be. It's very possible.
No, my glasses. But I am living. I'm living vicariously through you. This is amazing.
Oh, good. Well, great. That's. I'm glad to hear that. It's That's why I tried to share the details that I can in some of the stuff, because I know that my friends would love it.
I'm amazed because my first Star Wars celebration in 2005, I made a Jedi costume.
Yeah,
and it's pretty pathetic, but I put it on and it gives you this sense of confidence, and you can walk around these places looking like a total dork, and people still want to come up and take pictures with you.
Yes,
but I know how heavy, and this is all just cloth. It's not, the metal and plastic that you're wearing. And I know how exhausting it is. And I've only worn them a handful of times at other cons. So I'm just thinking, wow, I know what kind of happiness that brought me. And to do what you do and the way you got into it's amazing.
Well, that's that feeling that you felt when you put it on. You feel the weight of the robes and you feel them like flowing. And then when you raise the lightsaber and you feel the warmth of the glow on your face, and then you get all serious, and then you're, like that is a huge part of acting.
You become
the
that
costume.
Character. Yeah.
The costuming, it helps you get into character. Yeah. And then like another, I don't know, that is, I just wanted to communicate that to you, that is that we feel the same way, and you got a sense of acting there in that moment.
Yeah, I feel I got a little bit understanding of what you've got. And I'm so envious.
You all anyway.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Well, Chris, we really appreciate having you on, and we won't keep you much longer, so we'll wrap this up. But yeah, so thank you for what you've brought to Star Wars in terms of the performance. We really looks like he might be running a little. There we go.
Hey, he's back.
Yes.
All right. So so Chris, we won't keep you much longer. We'll get you going here, but so we really appreciate what you've brought to Star Wars. Like I said, I've been following your career, and I'm going to continue to follow it, and we hope that you have a long history with Star Wars, because you bring a lot of joy to a lot of viewers, a lot of fans, and keep up what you're doing, sir.
Brown leader, that is the nicest thing anyone's ever said about the work. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Well, it does. It brings so much to us. So guys, let's transition to Collection Corner really quick, and we'll kind of get this going and call it a show. What do you say? Scruffy, I know yesterday was Comic Book Wednesday, right?
Yes, yesterday was Comic Book Wednesday. I picked up a few more issues, some back issues that after inventorying I found out I'm missing, so filled a few holes there. And then this morning got up and I felt the itch, a twitch going through me, so I got online and bought my very own Zero action figure, the Black Series.
290?
Yes, I bought them.
Nice. Well, Scruffy, I hope you play with him. I hope you play with it, because it is one of the most articulated Black Series figures I've ever seen. There's a lot of extra movement in there, and there's even a tutorial on YouTube of how to pose him, and there's so many cool action poses. But yeah,
I may have to order a second one.
Yeah. Well, they also scan you when you're in costume. They scan you for just this type of thing for toys. So what you're holding there is exactly my proportions and my shape when I was in the costume.
So I got my own Chris Bartlett action figure.
Yeah, totally. Yes, I hope you play with it.
That's awesome.
I play with myself, so.
And thank you for not letting me down.
A lot of fun.
There we go. DB.
I am still on my spending moratorium, so instead of talking about what I purchased this week, I'll show you what I dusted off the shelf today.
Nice.
Very cool.
So, and I you might not recognize him with the red arm, but, and I realized this probably wasn't you on screen, but
actually,
you know what?
Actually,
tell us the story, Chris.
If I did a trailer for The Force Awakens with J.J. Abrams, and I did the red carpet. That's right. So if you go watch on YouTube, trailer called O2 Star Wars. And there's a this was produced or directed by J.J. Abrams, and so that is where I wore the red arm, and so I can say I have a little. You are right that in that area. So anyway, it's cool that you have one.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So, Chris, do you collect anything other than awesome costumes that you get to wear on set?
I will. I have something here I showed earlier, but this is a. Let me step back here.
Yeah,
this is kind of heavy. This right here is a silver plating prototype from Don Post Studios of the casting of an Empire era C-3PO leg. They were doing a prototype for the plating, a template for the plating to see, they weren't doing like vacuum metallizing. They were doing nickel plating on these suits. So I got this one. Steve Sansweet was hosting an event at Rancho Obi-Wan, and Don Post Jr. was there, and he brought a bunch of original Don Post C-3PO parts, and so I won this in an auction, and it's really cool. I love it because I just love all the detail in it, and it's cast directly from Empire Strikes Back era suit. So this is one thing I have. Let me see. Oh, it doesn't have fancy soul on it. But, so, and then I showed you some other stuff. That C-3PO head is one that I wear on TV. The blue one was one from the show. The other things that I collect. Oh, I showed you my blaster. But the vast majority of other stuff I collect is old car parts.
Oh, cool.
Because that's what that's the other thing I do is restore old cars. And motorcycles and drive them. And so I'm often like, looking like sometimes like I used to do when I was looking for, a hidden part that couldn't be, that was before 3D printing, where everyone can go click and then it goes, bzz, oh, I have the part. Cool. But yeah, I restore old vehicles. I have for since the 80s. And it's a real passion of mine. So,
what's your dream classic, and have you been able to get one and restore it?
My dream classic, I do have. I don't know if you're a fan of the film Christine, John Carpenter film.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A 1958 Plymouth. Ooh. I am a huge fan of the film, and a few years ago I found one in not one from the film, but it's the same model. It's a 58 Plymouth Belvedere, and I found it in a barn. It had run in 30 years, and so over COVID I restored got it running and back on the road, and so it's a daily driver. And you can see if you go to my other Instagram, which is all my car stuff, is the Falcon van. The Falcon van that has all my car stuff on it.
Very cool. And that's on cool
Instagram. Yeah. Sometimes I post some of my stuff on my Instagram, Chris F. Bartlett, but all my car stuff is over there. And I'm wondering if I should post some of that stuff on my own. I don't know. Like, if you guys, I don't know if you go on Instagram, but do you think people would like to see that stuff too, or do you think the audience would mostly just like to see Star Wars stuff?
Yeah, you'll definitely be getting a couple extra follows tonight, that's for sure. So
the Christine was one of my most favorite movies when I was one of my favorite horror movies. So
yeah,
I have wanted a 1958 Plymouth Fury since probably 1984, 85.
Really?
I looked at one, but it was just too far gone to salvage at that point.
Well,
so I never got to live that dream there. I've restored a lot of other cars, but
Really?
I've never. Yeah.
What was your favorite?
I worked on a friend's '69 Chevelle. It was a
cool.
beautiful, beautiful car.
Classic muscle
absolutely,
car.
Yeah, absolutely amazing car.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love that car. I never owned one because I can't behave. I've lost my license due to too many points for speeding tickets and stuff. So yeah, I just know I can't behave. But I always loved working on old cars, and that '58 Plymouth Fury is something I've always wanted.
Yeah, I did too. Mine's a 4-door like the book, but it looks exactly like the one in the film was a 2-door hardtop.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks exactly. It's the same car, same length, same everything is all the same except for the doors it has 4 doors. Yeah. So, but yeah, if you go check it out, there's lots of stuff on there about it. But yeah, that's usually they're either too far gone or they're fully restored and they're like beyond how much we can pay
they're pushing 6 figures at that point.
Right. Yeah. So I found one that was in between that and that was cosmetically okay and just didn't run. So I got both of them, cosmetically and mechanically up on the road again. So,
nice.
But anyway, yeah,
we're living up here in the Rust Belt, so everything up here is one extreme or the other.
Oh yeah, I found mine in California and it wasn't rusty, so that was really good.
Nice.
But yeah, that was the dream car, and then it feels like every time I finish one, I'm like, what is my next dream car that I would want to restore? Like I can't have that many dream cars, but I end up getting the ones I really want to restore, and then yeah, I also have a '62 Ford Econoline window bus, which is like the Ford version of the
very cool
Volkswagen, and then and then there's others too. So
that's very cool. Well, when we start the classic car podcast, we'll have to have you back on for that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. Great. Cool.
All right, so let's wrap this up. So in expectation of this show, I had texted the guys a couple days ago, told them I had an impulse purchase to get ready for this show. So I definitely added the Q90 Funko Pop because I am a Funko guy. And then the other part of it, guys, and Scruff, you do not have to order another 0 because I ordered 3.
Whoa, what a friend.
So one for each of you.
Awesome.
So you can take it out of the box and play with it for sure. So
what a good friend Brown Leader is. Wow.
I spoil them quite often.
Yes, he does.
Awesome.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. So well, Chris, again, it's been an honor to have you on. Excuse me. It's been an honor to have you on. We really appreciate this. You're welcome back anytime you want to talk cars, you want to talk Star Wars, you want to talk nerd stuff. You're welcome back anytime. For being a guest on the show, you get to become an honorary member of Brown Squadron, and with that becomes a flight designation and a call sign. And I think the call sign was pretty easy on this one. So Brown 42 and call sign 0, of course. I think that's where we had to go with that one.
0, I'll take it. He's my favorite, and he's a pretty good pilot too.
Yeah, he is. Absolutely.
Yes, he is.
Thank you for that, you guys. It's an honor to be a member of the Brown Squadron.
Yeah. So
I hope you guys, if you go to conventions, I just wanted to say that I usually post them on my Instagram because I do conventions, Comic-Cons in between filming, and so you can come meet me. You can meet the amazing Katie, who is my assistant, and she's a lot of fun too. So I usually have Black Series and Funkos and photos, and we do and also. What I like to do is encourage people to come in their costumes. And don't worry if they're, not exactly 100% where you think it should be. If you come in costume, we're going to build a character out of you. Okay. And so what I like to do is I do videos of people in costume and then I, kind of, a lot of times I tell someone, oh, you look great. Can I get a photo with you? And they stand there like they're waiting for a bus, like, no way, give me some cool, like action. Like I want to see your character. And so I give them just a little bit of direction. And then we do a little film, and I put them together as reels and put them on my Instagram. So I like to encourage people to come in their costumes and see if we can't make a cool character out of them. And but we have a lot of fun. I love doing panels and talking about stuff like we talked about tonight. And so I hope we get to meet someday at a convention near you.
That'd be very cool.
Do you have any upcoming cons anytime in the near future you want to plug?
I'm going to be at, this isn't a convention, but I'm going to be at Pop City, Utah, I believe it's called, in Salt Lake City at the beginning of April. I will post specifically on my Instagram where it is and what time and stuff. And then also I'll be going to Bahrain in the Middle East in the end of April. I'll be at WonderCon in Anaheim coming up in a couple of weeks. That is, I'm speaking at a panel about acting in a costume. And let's see what else. Rebel Scum is coming up in Texas in July, I believe. Is it June or July? Oh gosh, June, July.
Sometime this summer.
Yeah. So sorry, Rebel Scum. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. Tons of us from the shows are going to be on there. Rebel Scum has been a brand that's been around for 20 years, and it's a really great group of guys and girls that run that. So we'll have a lot of fun there too.
Very cool. Awesome. Very cool. And you're pretty active on Twitter. You're pretty, or X or whatever it is. You're pretty active on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram is my main place that I am active. Yeah,
very cool.
Twitter can get a little too political for me, so I just like to have fun.
Scruffy, there's the.
No, I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
I've already looked at it.
All right.
I've already been staring at it for since you brought it up. Yeah, since you brought it up, yeah, that is a beautiful car. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So
I am super in love.
So very, very cool. And Chris, let's let get him going. And Chris, thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate it. And guys, I think it's time to do the sign off. This is Brown Leader signing off for Hyperspace Heroes, and you have been listening. Or what? I botched the ending. See, there we go.
Yes, you did.
This is Brown Leader signing off for the crew, and you've been listening to Hyperspace Heroes. That's no moon.
moon.
Is